I'm John Swinkonick with the Shrewsbury Daily Voice, and this is your weekly news. Brace yourselves. Weather analyst Jim Arnold said we could be in for quite a bit of snow by Friday. It looks like snow will begin right after midnight, and the storm will likely continue all day and into Friday evening.
Hi, I'm Jim Arnold, the weather specialist for Shrewsbury's Emergency Management Agency, and also for the town of Princeton and the City of Worcester Emergency Management Agency. We've got quite a serious situation that's going to be coming our way, and the latest NOM, which is the North American model projections, show that central Massachusetts is pretty much in the crosshairs for the maximum amount of snow. Now, given the color scale that's on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see that we're getting up toward the top of the scale, somewhere in the 25, 30, 35-inch range, and I think that's totally within the realm of possibility. And to make matters worse, we have a couple of other energy factors, particularly the wind, that are going to contribute to turning this into a real blizzard, even by definition. Now, what is a blizzard by definition? A blizzard is characterized by winds of 35 miles an hour or greater and visibilities of less than a quarter of a mile, and it must maintain these values for at least 3 consecutive hours. It can drop off after 3 hours and still be a blizzard, but when you get to those kind of conditions, they will be a little above, little below, little above, little below, but we will be having blizzard conditions through the heart of the storm, which probably is going to be from 7 o'clock, 7-ish tomorrow night to 7-ish Saturday morning. That's when probably the bulk of the snow will be falling. All right, we can see what the remains of a blizzard are by the little machine that's trying to cut a hole through the snowbank. And as far as the current watches go, I have a slide of what the National Weather Service has put out for current watches, and the significant ones are hurricane wind warnings along the coast, winter storm watch for the northwestern 2/3 of Massachusetts, a blizzard watch for the southeast 2/3 or southeast third of Massachusetts, and a high wind warning and coastal flood warnings. Two tides will be particularly impacted by this storm. It'll be the tide at around 9:30 tomorrow night, and the tide again at around 10 o'clock Saturday, and I'll speak about these a little bit more. Our expected impacts, you'll see most forecasts are calling for, and this is particularly true of the National Weather Service homepage, 18 to 24 inches. I think we're looking at 1.5 to 2.5 feet. So we're looking at probably 18 to 30 inches of snow if we can find a place on the level to measure it. We're looking at possible wind damage to structures and to trees and branches. We're also looking for snowdrifts to possibly in exposed areas piling up to as much as 10 feet. This would be playing havoc on the roads, of course, and making travel pretty much impossible. There will be, as I mentioned, the coastal flooding. There are significant storm surges that are going to be associated with this. In this kind of a situation where we have whiteout conditions and we have very, very deep snow that plows are going to be very hard pressed to keep up with, even on the major routes. Automobiles are going to be abandoned. They're going to get stuck. They're not going to be able to go anywhere. They're going to be abandoned. And by early Saturday morning, the temperatures I'm expecting around here are going to fall to the low to possibly the middle teens. And if someone abandons their car, tries to get out and walk, gets lost in the snow, you know, they're going to be in real trouble. So this is a very serious situation. It will be a crippling storm, and it does have life-threatening implications. And finally, there will be probably widespread and prolonged power outages, particularly along the southeast part of the state.
The storm looks like it may arrive right on time for the 35th anniversary of the blizzard of '78, and you can get more storm updates by logging on to the Shrewsbury Daily Voice. While you're there, let us know where you were during the blizzard of '78. Well, with temperatures dropping again, many Shrewsbury residents may be tempted to light fires or use space heaters to stay warm. However, Shrewsbury Fire Chief James Vona warns that improperly used stoves, fireplaces, or space heaters could mean danger for both residents and the firefighters who protect them. Fires during cold spills are especially dangerous for firefighters who have to contend with icy conditions, according to Vona. Vona is urging residents to make sure their chimneys are clean before using them, and also warning them to never leave an electric space heater unattended. More details at the Shrewsbury Daily Voice. And with the cold weather freezing Lake Quinsigamond, the fire department is brushing up on training to use its two-person hovercraft. The vehicle is primarily used for search and rescue operations and is one of the few of its kind in the central Massachusetts area. Take a look.
Nothing actually touches the ground when it's driving, so it's up in the air. So everything you do, you got to plan ahead. There is no brakes. So when you go to turn and so forth, the craft will turn sideways and still be going in a straight line where it's going. You actually have to use throttle to get it to turn around and come the other direction. It's similar to a jet ski. Let off the throttle, you have no steering. So most of the guys here each get training twice a year, once in open water and once on the ice. Myself and two of the other firefighters went out to Michigan actually for a week for training on it, for showing everybody else how to do it. So it takes a lot of planning ahead, You can't, because if you let off the throttle on ice especially, it'll glide for, depending on how fast you're going, 50, 100, 200 feet before you stop. Maximum speed that we'll let anybody do with it is 35 on water or ice. On ice, it'll actually get itself much faster. The department's had two of them. This is the second one. The first one the department got right around 1992.
Okay.
And they had that right up through this one here, which they purchased right around 1998 or 99, I'm not sure. The East Bridgewater Fire has one, Winchester Fire has one, but none are real close to around us. A lot of what we deal with is Lake Quinsigamond and Flint Pond and Sewell Pond and the ponds in Shrewsbury, so most of the time, it's 90% of primarily where it ends up going.
And you can learn more about the hovercraft at the Shrewsbury Daily Voice. The high school's National Latin Honor Society held its first ever Mr. Shrewsbury High School competition last week. Greg Rabicki was crowned Mr. SHS at the end of the night. That saw a mix of talent and humor and also raised funds for the Andy's Attic charity. Here's a look.
We are having the Mr. SHS Men's Beauty Contest where there are 7 contestants and they will be put through 5 categories and our judges will judge them and there will be one crowned Mr. SHS.
All right.
The proceeds, some of the proceeds are going to, National Latin Honor Society. It goes to help fund things that we do with that group. And then also we're donating part of the proceeds to Andy's Attic. So that's the other thing, which Andy's Attic is a local organization, as many people know, that helps clothe teenagers in the area that are struggling.
Fantastic. So what can we expect tonight?
Lots of laughs. I mean, guys running across stage doing somewhat outrageous but funny and all appropriate activities.
The contestants.
It doesn't do anything. come and I look up on my knees and out of luck I look up and I turn.
His hobbies include fire walking and stargazing. He enjoys romantic comedies, long walks on the beach. He also likes.
Can I get a drum roll, please? Mr. Gray! Frank, you should be thanking
Oh, this is just overwhelming, Hannah. I just want to thank. Yes, thank everybody. It was a blast, and just a big thank you to all the contestants. Wow, what a great time.
And you can read more about Mr. Shrewsbury High School and see pictures by logging on to the Shrewsbury Daily Voice. In sports, girls basketball kept their playoff hopes alive with a 52-25 win Tuesday over Leominster. The Lady Colonials will have to win their next 2 games to secure a playoff berth. There's more information on that game at the Daily Voice, and meanwhile, here's the SPAC 28 sports team.
Hello again, everyone. Well, it was a busy week in sports, which included most every sports enthusiast's favorite venue, the 47th Super Bowl, won by the Baltimore Ravens. In our town of Shrewsbury, the local high schools were back in action as they start to wind down their winter schedules heading into the playoffs. In hockey action last Saturday, the Shrewsbury girls hockey team played Springfield Cathedral. Kelsey Flynn had 2 goals as SHS played Cathedral to a 5-5 tie in Springfield. Their record as of this broadcast is 7-4-1. The Shrewsbury boys hockey team lost to rival St. John's in Shrewsbury in a thriller at the Hart Center last Thursday night, 4-3, and then lost another tough one to Wachusett on Saturday by a score of 7-5, despite 2 goals from Jack Quinlivan. However, the Colonials go back to their winning ways on Tuesday by defeating the Hudson Hawks 5-3 in Westboro. Dave Belbin had a big night for the Colonials, scoring 4 goals for the hometown team. The Pioneers of St. John's followed up their win over the Colonials by defeating St. Peter's on Saturday by a score of 4-2, as Brian Nelson had 2 goals for the Pioneers. Turning now to basketball, the Lady Colonials were in action Friday night against arch-rival Wachusett. And despite carrying the lead throughout the game until the final minute of play, the Lady Colonials could not hold off the Mountaineers and lost a close one at home, 37-34. Elizabeth Grip led all scorers with 13 points in that one. And on Tuesday night, the Lady Colonials were back in action against the Leominster Blue Devils. Elizabeth Grip once again led all scorers in a nifty victory at home by a score of 52-25. That puts the girls 2 wins away from district playoffs with 4 games to play. In boys basketball on Sunday, it was Shrewsbury rivals once again, the Colonials against the Pioneers of St. John's on West Main Street. The Pioneers were on a mission to rebound from a tough loss last Friday to Worcester South, and you can call it mission accomplished. On Sunday, the Colonials were overmatched in that one as the Pioneers took it to the Colonials by a score of 70-48. Shrewsbury boys, Ken Harrington had 18 points and TJ Kelly had 17 for the Pioneers to lead the way. Nick Pasquale had an even dozen for the Colonials. And on Tuesday night, the Pioneers took on the Burncoat Patriots, while the Colonials met the Leominster Blue Devils. Let's get to the Pioneers first. They improved their season record to 11-4 with a win over Burncoat on the road. Devon Jones led the Red School with 14 points. The Colonial boys basketball team were not as fortunate, as the Blue Devils of Leominster dashed the Colonials' hope of district playoffs this year with a lopsided victory in Leominster by a score of 70-44. Ryan Russell led the Colonials with 12 points. On a side note, the TV28 sports team will be broadcasting live from Shrewsbury High next Tuesday night as the boys take on the Fitchburg Red Raiders. Tip-off is at 7 p.m., so don't miss it. And finally, there may be a nor'easter on the way to Shrewsbury this weekend, but you know it's a sure sign of spring when the Boston Red Sox equipment truck leaves Fenway Park for Fort Myers, which it did this week. It won't be long, folks. That's going to do it for sports. For the Shrewsbury TV 28 sports team, I'm Nick Tedisco. See you next time. And now back to John Swinconnick in the Shrewsbury News.
Finally, Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services will celebrate 30 years of community caring at its 9th annual gala on February 9th at St. John's High School. Bob Jacques will be honored with the 2013 Harry S. Cutting Award, while Shrewsbury Youth's Nick Silverio, Kristen Grip, Aaron Hayden, and Jennifer Tylock will receive Outstanding Youth of Shrewsbury Awards. And you can get ticket information at the Shrewsbury Daily Voice. And that's the news for this week, and you can learn more on these stories by logging on to shrewsbury.dailyvoice.com. I'm John Swinconnick, and if you do have to go out during the snowstorm, please be careful and have a great week.